the young, and the restless spoilers. Traci Abbott had always been the heart and soul of the Abbott family, the one who could bring warmth and light into even the darkest of situations. After a rejuvenating trip to Los Angeles, she returned to Genoa City with a renewed sense of purpose and a surprise in tow. Her boyfriend, Alan, had accompanied her back, and Traci was determined that their relationship would take the next step. She was done with waiting, with hesitating. It was time for Alan to become a part of her life in Genoa, and there was no turning back. The ominous arrival. Their arrival in Genoa City was anything but welcoming. As soon as they stepped off the plane, they were greeted by a torrential downpour, the kind of rain that seemed to echo the ominous undertones of a storm brewing beneath the surface. Alan, who had always prided himself on his intuition, felt a gnawing sense of dread. The rain, the thunder, it all seemed like a prelude to something dark and inevitable. Traci, ever the optimist, brushed off his concerns, eager to reunite with her family and introduce Alan to the life she had always cherished. The Abbott Mansion, a world of wealth and secrets. The Abbott Mansion was as grand as ever, a symbol of the family's enduring legacy and wealth. For Alan, it was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the more modest life he had known. The opulence of the mansion seemed almost suffocating, as if the walls themselves were lined with the weight of expectations and the shadows of the past. But Traci, with her unwavering positivity, was undeterred. She was thrilled to be home, and even more thrilled to have Alan by her side. Jack Abbott, Traci's protective older brother, was delighted to see her return. Jabot, the family business, was in need of support, and Traci's presence was a welcome relief. She had always been the Abbott who could be counted on, the one who could bring a sense of calm and order to the chaos that often surrounded their lives. Jack, though preoccupied with business, was genuinely happy to see his sister and was ready to welcome Alan into their fold. The encounter, Diane's fear. But the return to Genoa City was not as smooth as Traci had hoped. When Diane Jenkins, a woman with a complicated history with the Abbotts, came face to face with Alan, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The confident, composed Diane was suddenly struck with a wave of terror that she couldn't hide. Alan's presence was more than just unsettling to her, it was deeply frightening. Diane's eyes betrayed a fear that had been buried deep within her, a fear that Alan had somehow resurrected. Diane struggled to maintain her composure throughout the conversation, but it was clear to anyone paying attention that something was deeply wrong. Jack noticed immediately. He had known Diane for years and had rarely seen her so rattled. The way her eyes darted nervously, the tremble in her voice, it all pointed to something sinister that Jack couldn't ignore. Concerned, Jack decided to end the meeting early, citing the need to catch up with Traci in private, but his mind was already racing with questions. Diane's revelation. When Jack finally confronted Diane, her response was nothing short of alarming. With a trembling voice, she revealed that Alan was not who he appeared to be. According to Diane, Alan was a monster, a man with a past so dark that it made her blood run cold. She claimed to have evidence of the terrible things Alan had done, a past filled with deceit, manipulation, and perhaps even worse. Diane was certain that Alan was setting a trap for Traci, and that if someone didn't intervene soon, Traci would be caught in a web of lies and danger from which she might never escape. Jack was stunned. The idea that his sister, sweet, kind-hearted Traci, could be involved with a man capable of such horrors was unthinkable. Yet, he knew Diane well enough to take her words seriously. Diane wasn't one to make such accusations lightly, especially not with the kind of fear she had displayed. But this was a delicate situation. Traci was deeply in love, and Jack knew that confronting her about Alan would be devastating. If Diane was wrong, the fallout could be catastrophic for their relationship. The dilemma, to protect or to wait. Now, Jack found himself in an impossible situation. Should he act on Diane's warnings and confront Alan, risking the wrath of his sister and the potential unraveling of her happiness? Or should he wait, gathering more information before making any moves, hoping that Diane's fears were unfounded? The weight of the decision hung heavily on his shoulders, and time was of the essence. If Diane was right, every moment they delayed could bring Traci closer to danger. Meanwhile, Diane was left grappling with her own fears. She knew what she had seen in Alan, an evil that couldn't be ignored. But convincing Jack, and ultimately Traci, was a challenge she wasn't sure she could overcome.